All right. So let's talk about homelessness in Victoria, BC for a second. Let's hold these organizations accountable. Let's hold, the government accountable, United Nations, all these entities that claim that they are creating opportunity and programs that are based off of improving the quality of homelessness and improving the quality of poverty. So let me explain something to you. I spent 15 years homeless in the streets all across fucking Canada. You know what I mean? All across Canada. From Hamilton to Toronto to Peterborough to Kitchener to Waterloo, all the way to BC, from Courtenay to Union Bay, Parksville, Nanaimo, Victoria, Kamloops, Vernon, Penticton. I was homeless in all of these places, literally tent, homeless shelter, etc. So, you know, and I was sober. And always have been. You know what I'm saying? When I was a drug dealer, I stopped selling drugs and became poor ever since, and then couldn't get into the employment section of life because I was rejected because of my criminal record and my being homeless. Nobody wanted to rent to me. No one wanted to employ me. But regardless, my point being is that I did end up getting employed around advocacy work around homelessness because that is really my expertise. That's what I went through. I went through homelessness and I saw the holes in the system and I saw how the system was contributing to homelessness and poverty. But it's weird that the system itself has these entities, and organizations that, claim to be helping and helping the homelessness population, but at the same time, the homeless guy is getting nothing but a couple peanuts and maybe a pair of socks. You know what I'm saying? There's not much opportunity for a homeless guy. It's like get a job at McDonald's or go be a construction worker or go to TLC to one of the labor unlimited places. And, that's not going to work for everybody. So that's why you continuously have homelessness in a cycle that it can't break out of. You know what I mean? Because the system itself is designed and built in a way that keeps homelessness as it is. And there's a reason behind that. And that is because these organizations and entities can continue to ask for funding from the federal government or wherever the government to attend to these social issues, right? Poverty and homelessness. So there's a large amount of money yearly that cycles around this topic, homelessness and poverty, hundreds and millions of dollars that are distributed to these entities and organizations and corporations, whatever, enterprises, to attend to these social issues, homelessness. Now, a very small percentage of that actually gets utilized and actually benefits the homeless person. It's the bare minimum, if not below. Okay, even people on welfare and disability don't even get enough money to survive. It's under the poverty line, okay? That's why they can't afford to get housing. That's why they can't afford to do anything or leverage themselves long enough to actually become independent and start working and get off of the system and be someone who contributes to society and to the community. This can't be done because of the way the system is designed. And the worst part about it all, you would think, well, this is great. That means we have it figured out what the problem is. Now all we have to do is correct it. Well, the people that are in power don't want that to happen because they like this $100 million a year that gets ciphered through all these entities and organizations. It keeps people with money in their pockets, right? And employed. It keeps them employed. So why would they want to solve the solution? If they solve the solution, the funding stops, the money stops, right? Now you know how the system works. Now you know how the system works around homelessness. How do I know? Because I spent 6-7 years homeless in a tent and in these shelters in Victoria, BC, and 15 years in total across Canada. And guess what? I discovered it, and it took me a long time to really understand what was going on. And it didn't make sense to me that a sober homeless person couldn't get what they needed in order to leverage themselves out of homelessness. So then I said, why would they want to keep people homeless? Why would they stop people? Why would they burden someone's ability from actually getting out of homelessness, but at the same time appear as if they are there to help? They give you just the bare minimum, right? And then the society looks at you like, yo, look, you get a free place to sleep, you get free food and all this stuff, and you're complaining that you can't get out of homelessness. What's your fucking problem, right? Well, this is what they don't know, right? This is what they don't know. That's what they can't see unless they went through years of homelessness to identify what's actually happening. By that point, when you're homeless and you're broken and you have trauma and you're destroyed and you're mentally ill, you're mentally unstable from enduring such extreme circumstances for so long that it's deteriorated your well-being, you no longer have the ability to leverage yourself out of homelessness. And they know that by science. Mathematically, they've already calculated through history that that's what happens to a person if their experience is prolonged for too long, to the point where they deteriorate in multiple ways, to the point where they accept their circumstances and they can't leverage themselves out of it. Okay? So the reason why homelessness exists is not because of the flaws and the errors of the individual. It's actually because of how the system designed itself to keep somebody homeless and keep somebody on drugs once they're down there. But at the same time, create a front and a display in these entities and organizations and government programs that appear and present themselves as a helping hand up and out of homelessness. Oh, we have this employment program. Oh, look, we have this rehabilitation center. We have the Salvation Army. We have Rock Bay, and then they go like that, right? First of all, Rock Bay, shit show. Everybody's using needles, smoking meth inside the building, out front of the building. It's a shit show. If you're sober and you're homeless and you think you're going to prevail out of a scenario like that, you are going to become your environment. I think all of us as adults know that we don't put ourselves and expose ourselves to certain elements because it will have a negative impact on our lives and a negative influence on our well-being, right? But the homeless person doesn't get that opportunity, right? You just have to function somehow. And you're still expected somehow to make it out of homelessness and contribute to society. See, it's a front, right? And COVID kind of exposed the entire front, and the government got scared for a sec, and these organizations and entities got scared for a sec because they were finally exposed on a mass level, and a lot of people got upset. And they were like, hey, you need to do something about this. Why are you allowing this to happen? And then they're like, okay, yeah, don't worry, we'll fix it. We got you. And then they do the fake smile again and say, see, look, we're feeding the homeless. Look, we're helping people. We're creating programs. And you know what I mean? But the whole thing is a front. So the reason why I know that is because I actually got employed and I actually got into these organizations and employed to them and actually got into the core of the organizations and found out how they get their funding. And how they get their funding is they look at a problem, they figure out a solution, and then they go to the federal government or the government and they ask for funding. It's like starting a business. First, you have to have a business model, and you got your business plan, and you present it, and then if it's accurate or going to be useful, here's the funding for that. They do the same thing around homelessness, except these programs are having a very minimal effect in any way, shape, or form for the homelessness population. So there's $100 million a year going through these orgs and getting distributed towards homelessness, but the homelessness problem is not being solved. Why is that? They just think, well, it's too big of a problem. No, actually, it's because of the way that these organizations are being run. The system is designed to keep you homeless, and it's making it so that way you have to keep applying for that amount of money every single year. And it's keeping a lot of people at the top paid, and they don't want that to change because then their money changes. Then their money goes away. The funding goes away. If the problem's solved, there's no more funding that needs to be distributed towards that problem. Okay? Yeah. So sometimes the system itself creates the problem so that way they can profit from the solution, believe it or not. It's very, very complex. There's many, many layers and many odds. it's supreme. It's very we're talking about a system that has been developed over hundreds of years. It's not something that some human being with a 60 to 100-year lifespan can just explain and figure out on their own. It's very, very hard to see, very difficult, but this is the reality and this is the truth. And I figured it out firsthand by experiencing it, going from homeless to being employed to getting housed. And the system almost completely destroyed me and deteriorated me in the process. It should not have been that difficult. And not to say that things aren't difficult, but it wasn't only just difficult, it was intentionally malicious towards me. It really was. Right, based off of how the system works itself, how the system is built itself, the Salvation Army, the homelessness shelters, the way that they're run, the people who are running them, the amount of money that's actually going through them versus the amount of money that's being distributed to actually help the homeless guy. Right. Think about it. I'll give you a minute. Anyways, so I get to this point where I get employed to all these organizations and they're showing me the play because I was articulate and intelligent enough and established, and I was smart enough to get myself in that position. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with you, I'm blessed. Okay, I'm very lucky. I'm less than 1%. The majority of people that live the life that I lived do not make it out. They don't make it out. They can't escape addiction. They can't escape mental illness. They can't escape the cycle of poverty because the system is built against them and they weren't strong enough mentally, physically, and spiritually to overcome what was against them that they couldn't see. I got lucky. I had God on my side, okay? And God preserved me, delivered me, and positioned me so that way I could see and figure out everything and then expose it, because the truth is more important than anything else, at least to me. To these people, it's the funding, but they use a problem like homelessness as a front in order to request funding and then continue to front, and then they feed the little homeless guy a little $20 honorarium. They feed you little peanuts while they're making a full-time living, getting $100,000 grants. There's also millions of dollars being put towards this, and there's a very small percentage, just some little crumbs and some peanuts that get brushed off of the dinner table for a couple of, guys from the street that are well put together enough to actually do this. Because anybody that comes from the street or homelessness doesn't want to participate in the system or their programs, and you can keep your honorarium. We already know you guys are fake, and we already know the system is a front, and you already been killing us, mass genocide of the homelessness population, and now you want to pretend to be our friend, and you got this solution, and you want to pay us a little $20 honorarium. Well, guess what? I don't want it, because we can see through you and see what you're doing, right? But I looked at it in a different way. I said, you know what? I think I could get into this, get employed, find out how they get their funding, completely witness these organizations and every operating component within them, see who the big dogs are that they're connected to, like the government and other entities, government entities, and actually get, write their names down, really get the information correct and actually how everything works, right? So that way I can relay that to my people that are being mass genocide slaughtered by the system itself, and they're getting played and used for their lived experience. So anyways, unreal, you know what I'm saying? And this is why homelessness won't improve in addiction. And they got this front called harm reduction. And that's another story, that's a different video. And why they allow drugs to manifest in BC the way they do and legalize it is because the politicians and the government guys are actually working with the organized mob, gangsters, and collecting a percentage of the drug trade that flows through Vancouver Island and through British Columbia, through the port, which is Vancouver Island. There's Seattle and there's Japan. So there's bricks of drugs being dropped off and imported and, moved through this place. And the corrupt, crooked government and politicians of this province looked at that as an opportunity when they discovered it and tried to shut down the drug trade and the big guys, the big gangsters, try to shut them down, which they ended up having a bomb, left on in front of the police station or on one of government officials' front porch. And then they realized that they're dealing with the mob and there's not much they can do. So what they decided was, what I believe they decided was, okay, so what we'll do is we'll create this front called harm reduction. We'll legalize drugs, and that way the drug trade is free for you guys to come through, sell your drugs, deal your drugs, get it out there in the streets, you know what I'm saying? But we just want a percentage, and we'll allow the drugs to exist, and we'll make some type of legal front or display for the community and the public and why that drugs just are so free out here, and why they have a system where they just allow you to do drugs, and why they help you do drugs, and they give you free drugs, and they legalize it, and they help you inject it, and they get safe injection zone sites. That's only in British Columbia where that type of a thing exists. Maybe the corruption is starting to spread. Mexico is an example of a government that's like that with the cartel, right? So, right, yeah. Did you hear what I said? Okay, good. Because I can't really say too much more about that because I'm not trying to get assassinated and dropped off into the Pacific Ocean with a fucking center block attached to my neck. But if you try and kill me and you try and snuff me out and you starve me to death and then you try to discredit me and frame me and try to dust me under the rug and throw me under the bus, well, I'm willing to die and I'm willing to fight to the death if you really want to go that way with me, because where I come from, that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Still city tatted to my wrist. You know what I mean? Like, we do that. You know what I mean? It's all of that. You know what I mean? Warriors, bro. It's in my DNA. So I figured I'm gonna be articulate, get myself into there, get employed, get all these certifications, get all these credentials, establish myself in the community as a homelessness advocate. And if they don't give me an opportunity to participate, pay me to run these programs that are actually going to have real detrimental effects on poverty and homelessness in this city, and expand on that, because these are my people and this is me, this is my life that you guys are profiting from and making money from, and all this money is getting transferred around. You're profiting off of my suffering and my pain and my agony of what I went through, going through 15 years of homelessness since I was a 14-year-old kid. So somebody's got to pay up. You know what I mean? I'm coming to collect. You know what I'm saying? And I'm willing to die for it. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality. Where I come from, you try and rob me or take my stuff or you take my food or eat off my plate, in defense of my own life, I might have to kill somebody. That's called self-defense. That's called even potentially manslaughter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fine with that. If somebody came to try to hurt me or kill me or take my food or starve me or enslave me, oppress me in any way, or if somebody was trying to rape me or whatever, oppress me in any way, it's my right to live. And if you burden that in any way, it's my right to defend my life. And if I have to take you out in the process, that's what's necessary to do so. And that is my right as a human being. That was, your rules, I'm not out there doing bad and wrong and hurting people and killing people. I'm trying to do right. And I'm trying to live righteously. And you are burdening and stopping my ability from being able to survive, which is in the long run killing me. It's taking away from my lifespan and my quality of life. So I'm willing to kill and die in that process, and so should anybody else. But most people aren't strong enough, and they're not intellectual enough to do so. That was in a metaphorically speaking point of view. That wasn't literal. Like, I'm not going to kill somebody. Nobody's going to kill me. But what I'm trying to display to you is a metaphorical way to look at it. So bottom line is, this is what happened, right? I got in there. People started trying to use me and then undercut me, which is what happened. An organization basically used me for my blueprint, all my ideas, promised me a higher position in the organization and a higher paying position and more active role in the organization, and then gave it to somebody else And then I got cut out of the deal and I went back to being homeless because I wasn't employed anymore because somebody took my spot. And that somebody was actually somebody that found out about that organization through me. So I got replaced by somebody else that I brought to the organization, which took my place, took some of the money that was supposed to go in my pocket, you know what I'm saying? So I can leverage myself out of homelessness, so I don't have to go back to the streets and sell drugs and kick doors in and rob drug dealers at gunpoint and all that shenanigans that, the life I lived when I was young. So I don't have to go back to that because that's usually typically the only option for a criminal that has, an extensive criminal record and has spent 15 years in the streets. Nobody wants to hire you. No one wants to rent to you. Nobody trusts you. It doesn't matter. You're X'd out of society. Society doesn't look at you very well. Whatever. You're no good no more. So you have no way to survive. You know what I mean? So anyways, so that's what happened. And I end up going back to homelessness after I'm employed, making $20 an hour, $100 a workshop, creating actual detrimental change in the community. The people that were listening to my workshops about me talk about my story, how I become homeless and how I survived homelessness and all that, and what changes need to be made in the system in order for the system to stop contributing to homelessness, and what things need to be fixed in order to improve the quality of homelessness and poverty, so on and so forth, based off of my lived experience in the streets. They basically used me for that and basically cut me out of the whole deal. I ended up going back to being homeless again. And then they try to slander me. Now they're trying to make false criminal accusations against me, slander me, because they feel threatened by the fact that I entered their organization, found out how they get funding, found out how the whole city is profiting off of homelessness. And then now that I'm out of it, now I'm a liability now because I could expose it. I could basically, snitch them out, so to speak, you know what I mean? But they're really just snitching themselves out. It's quite obvious what they're doing. I mean, it's public common knowledge to the homeless population. That's why they don't want to empower the homeless population and have them be the ones getting employed, running these programs, getting funding, so on and so forth. Because if that were to happen, the homeless population might decide to seek revenge on the people that actually oppress them, right? It would be a flip of power. That's not going to happen, and that hasn't happened for the last 1,000 years, has it? Right? Okay, all right. Victoria, BC is the capital of British Columbia, okay? And then there's Ottawa. So figure that out, right? These are powerhouse places, right? There's some powerful things going on. This is also a very satanic place as well, but that's for another story. There's a lot of corruption here, a lot of evil here, and there's a lot of money here. There's a lot of money, and people are making a lot of money off of homelessness, and the homeless guy is out there starving to death, can't get a shower, can't survive. It was brutal. I said, you know what? If I make it out of this situation, you guys are fucked. You guys are fucked. If I ever get my foot in the door, these guys are cowards, man. The people that are allowing this shit to have their pussies, man. They can't come out here and box with me in the street. I'll beat the brakes off them, you know what I'm saying? And they'll just call the cops. So there's no way to get some criminals like this because they're pussy criminals. They do shit like that. They pick on the weak. They prey on the weak. They take from the poor. They fucking take food out of the homeless mouth and then act like they're there putting the food back in their mouth. It's disgusting. It's a front. It's a hoax. It's a front. I can prove it in so many different ways, and I have. But so anyways, so now I'm in a position where moving up the ladder, I even got a certification through this certification. You can't even get into this certification unless you're like a part of like law enforcement or something. The only reason why I got in is because somebody referenced me. Somebody that's like that, you know what I'm saying, that actually used to be a cop, that saw my workshop about me talking about homelessness and thought, this guy has mad potential, like, you know what I'm saying? So he tried to bring me on that side of things, and I was like, no, I can't touch that. I don't mess with the, you know what I mean, with the law like that and all that stuff. Community safety and well-being, crime prevention through environmental design. These are actual trades, and this is what cops do. This is what police do in police forces and stuff like that. And this person used to be an ex-cop, but which he's a good guy. He's not a cop anymore, and he saw the corruption within the system, and he turned against it. And he said, "You guys are bogus. This is not what I signed up for." You know what I'm saying? So even the cops are just trying to serve and protect, and the system itself is completely corrupt, out for greed and everything else. So then even cops are like, yo, I don't even want. I'd rather chill with the street dude than you guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what happened in that scenario. Guy's a good guy. He's done a lot for me. I'm not talking down about that person, but you know what I'm saying? I'm out here making friends with people like this, bro. I'm a street dude. If dudes where I come from, if they even heard that, they'd be like, yo, they try to come kill me. They'd be like, what? You made friends with a cop? Bam! And just shoot me in my face. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it really is. That's really how it is. Because they don't understand. They didn't evolve from where I evolved from. They didn't evolve. They stayed like that, and they still have that mentality. So they can't understand what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Just the affiliation alone is too much for them. But I'm not affiliated with the street anymore. I don't sell drugs anymore. I don't gang bang anymore. I don't do crime. I don't do nothing like that anymore. I already evolved from that life, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not affiliated with that life or anybody in that life. So I'm not a liability to them or their activities in any way, shape, or form, regardless. So get it straight. You don't even know the streets like that to tell me about politics. So moving forward from that, you know what I mean? Yeah, so now I'm trying to, get myself in position to be running some of these. Maybe I'll create my own organization. It'll be the only authentic one that has somebody with actual lived experience that comes from the street operating it and actually creating detrimental change and effect in the community and in the homelessness population. Actually creating real opportunity from somebody that understands, that really knows what needs to be done. Because I was out there with everybody, starving to death, while you guys were all getting a paycheck, laughing, living your lives. And there's millions of dollars going through, and I know the numbers. I know the specific numbers, at least in this city, okay? And it's astronomical. Just the Salvation Army alone, which I made a video about, I'll link at the end of this one, makes, $28,500 per month, $342,000 a year roughly. One Salvation Army off of the homeless people's welfare and disability checks, your tax dollars. And you know what happens? That goes to the Salvation Army, and then BC Housing collects that money, and BC Housing is owned by the government. Bro, your tax dollars are going onto the welfare checks, the disability checks, then going to the homeless shelter for them to pay to live in a dorm with 30 other men. There's multiple dorms, 30 people per dorm. You're living in a room on bunk beds with smelly ass people, some people that have mental illness, some people that have drug addictions, alcoholism, demons and evil and trying to rob you and fight you. And you have to live in that environment, and you have to pay $600 a month, and you think that you're going to work every day and get to sleep every night and leverage yourself out of that and get yourself a place. It doesn't exist. It's never going to happen, and you'll never know until it happens to you. That's why it's such a blind spot for the society and community versus the homeless population versus the government and all their entities and organizations. I finally got involved with all of it. I experienced it all, decoded it, deciphered it, and realized what was happening. It's disgusting. I could call out specific individuals that are directly involved with this. I could call out entities and organizations that are directly, knowingly involving themselves in this pyramid scheme, but still fronting. And they threw me under the bus too, and they deserve to be exposed, if not worse. But so now I'm in a position where I'm trying to get myself in a position where I could run some programs myself, somebody that really deserves to do it, that's authentic, that's not out for the funding. I already lived in a tent for 15 years, so you can't tell me shit. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody deserves to be paid or run any of these programs that are being funded by the government, it's somebody that was homeless for 15 years. It's the homeless guy. Everyone except for the homeless guy is getting paid in this scenario. Trust me. I saw it. And I was a part of it for a sec. But when they saw that, I could expose them and their pyramid scheme, then they threw me under the bus, tried to slander me, tried to discredit me, ruin my reputation after I just built a reputation in the community. It was insane, but they fucked with the wrong guy, and I think they know that now. And I'm not going to go away. So You're either gonna have to pay a fucking hitter to assassinate me, which is probably not gonna happen because the guy probably knows me and likes me anyway. So it's not. I'm friends with the hitters, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Sincere music. Go listen to my music. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, yo, these guys know who I am. You know what I mean? But, you know what I'm saying? I'm like the white Tupac of Canada. I'm playing. But yo, bottom line is, so now I feel like they might be trying again to steal my ideas for these programs and cut me out of the deal and not pay me to do it, and then just pay someone else that would take less or something, or do it for free or something, like, which I've done a lot of advocacy and a lot of work out here for free. I've volunteered to all of these organizations before I was employed to them, volunteering my time while I was homeless, while I was starving to death, where I was hungry, where I needed clothes and shoes, and I still volunteered my energy and time to this cause because I was actually serious about the cause. And all these guys are getting paid. Eventually they felt bad, tried to get me paid for it, and I was getting paid, and then boom, they threw me under the bus, went left on me, used me, and then tried to slander me and discredit me so that way I wouldn't be a threat publicly to them and ruin their reputation. Which is people that don't have any lived experience, that haven't been homeless. So the homeless guy deserves to be running the programs, deserves to be getting the paycheck, deserves to be at the table dictating how the programs are run, what changes need to be run in the system, who needs to be employed to these programs to be running them. Like the homeless shelters, I experienced a lot of abuse from homeless shelter staff. That wouldn't have happened if it was the dudes that used to live at that homeless shelter, because they would remember getting treated like that from corrupt staff that are there for a quick and easy paycheck. You know what I'm saying? And they would never treat one of their brothers from the street like that. You know, we would actually have more of a positive effect on each other, saying, yo, I used to live here at this shelter, bro. And now look, I work here and I get paid $30 an hour. Like, you can do this, bro. You can make it out of here. You know what I'm saying? Boom. That makes me think, no way. Yo, I can get out of this. I can have a job. That doesn't have to be Tim Hortons or McDonald's or fucking Labor Unlimited and some pathetic ass typical shit like that you expect everybody to follow suit on. Not realistic. That's why you have a homelessness problem. And I already could make a video about why you got a drug problem out here in BC, and it's not like that anywhere else. We already know that. I broke that down a little bit. That's as far as I'm going to go on that one. Because then I'm stepping on toes that I don't want to step on, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You can't not step on toes in a scenario like this. This is some crazy shit. This is what people get assassinated for, bro. This is what Tupac got fucking hit for. This is what JFK got hit for. Bro, this shit is real. Like, you know, there's a real threat to going this route, you know what I'm saying? And you'll get blacklisted and blackballed from everywhere in the city, every employment opportunity. And, you know, that's the gang stalking stuff, you know, that's what that is. You might want to go look that up. But that's, you know, it's on a government level, it's on a police level, it's on a demonic level, it's on a street level, it's on a civilian level. And there's many levels and there's many players and different entities that are involved in that. It's not a psychosis thing. It's not a mental schizophrenic thing. But people they become schizophrenic and become mentally unstable from being targeted in that manner for a long period of time, which plays into this whole program that I'm exposing right now. It deteriorates you mentally and physically to the point where you have no chance at all anyways, and you're not going to be credible even if you did figure it out, because you're on drugs and you're mentally unstable because of this happening to you. You know what I mean? It deteriorates your mental wellness completely. It changes you, destroys you, makes you sick physically too, and then the hospitals kill you off, and that's another video. The medical system out here kind of works along with that. You get a purple dot next to your name if you're a homeless person, or in the poverty tax bracket, or if you're hostile, or if you expose the system in any way, you get a purple dot beside your file in the hospitals and the medical system out here. How do I know that? I was just dating a girl that worked in the hospitals, Jubilee Hospital, and worked for Island Health, okay, and told me about this, and also told me that she witnessed all of the staff in the hospital being abusive towards people that were homeless that came in there, and would talk about them literally, oh, this fucking homeless bum again in here fucking taking up space in the hospital. Make sure he has to wait for 6 to 8 hours. Put his fucking put his paper up, keep putting it under the other ones. Bro, she's seen this and witnessed this. She worked in the hospital, in Jubilee Hospital, okay? she worked for Island Health in different in different places and stuff like that. Old age homes. I got to see every aspect of this city, and I'm the only one that ever got in from the streets and made it this far. Got a girlfriend that works in the hospitals for Island Health that got inside intel where they would just terminate her contract for even exposing this to me and making it so she becomes homeless and can't ever make it in this city too. So somebody's got to do this, because you can't just keep killing all these people that are already weak and broken and mentally ill, and you're killing. It's like beating up a handicapped kid. You're picking on disabled people. You're capitalizing, taking advantage of, and profiting from people that are not well. That's the lowest piece of shit that exists on this planet beside rapists and pedophiles. So the people in the city and the organizations and entities and on government levels, they are basically pedophiles. They're the lowest of the lowest of the lowest to operate like this systematically, even on a mass scale. That is mass genocide, okay? That's what that is. I didn't die from it, and I almost did multiple times. It withered me away out there. I'm still sick. I'm not well. I'm still healing from it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a video about this and break it down. This is going to be part one. There's probably going to be an entire series for the next 5 years that, and I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. You know what I'm saying? I'm on them. And if I have to, I'll invest my own money to advertise these videos to the population of Victoria, because let me think. What is the population of Victoria? Where's my phone? Let me just look for one sec. See, what is the population? Because you're gonna understand why I'm saying this to you in a second. Okay, because it wouldn't be that hard. See, that's the thing. They don't want people like me involved in this stuff, because this is a serious threat to their establishment. Because I'm not articulate. This is how serious I am. So, 2016, the population was 92,141. In 2017, actually, probably not going to be able to see that, but 92,141 in 2017 population of Victoria. So it's probably a lot more. So, a couple $100 on a Facebook advertising campaign, I would say $200 to $400 can reach up to 100 to 300,000 people. So I only have to spend like $400 on an advertising campaign to advertise this video to the entire population of Victoria. You can target. I actually own a social media marketing agency, and I was running advertising through Facebook for real estate agents, getting them leads and clients that they would convert, and I would get paid a retainer to do that. So I actually know what I'm doing, right? And I did this all when I was homeless. I was making money online as an affiliate marketer when I was living out of a tent, having extra money to eat at restaurants. Okay, I was making like $400 to sometimes even $1,000 in a week, and I didn't want to pay rent. I gave up on the system at that point. I was trying to just live my life and travel, and that's what I was doing. But if you want to know more about that, maybe I'll make another video on how that all came to an end as well. But either way, so if I really wanted to, I could advertise this video to the entire population of Victoria, and it would only cost me about $400. That's a big problem for these organizations. And if I start name dropping and I advertise the entire series and I start calling out organizations, well, they're going to try and have me charged. They're going to try and slander me back, discredit me, try and charge me for slandering the organization or people. And what I'll do is I'll relocate outside of maybe British Columbia, just outside of their jurisdiction, and I will continue my campaign against them. So that way the corrupt police and the corrupt law can't come and arrest me for false charges like slandering and other criminal charges that they're going to try to lay on me if I try to expose this entire thing. You know what I'm saying? Good luck trying to do anything more than that. You're not going to do nothing to me. You're not going to hurt me. If I wanted to, I could go back to the hood and go collect 100 Jamaican dudes that just want to eat everybody's food, bring them out here and let them just destroy your entire city and just bang. You know what I mean? The skinhead shit isn't going to work out there in Toronto. You know, the white boy tatted up shit, that don't flow, that don't work where I come from. You can only be like that out here where motherfuckers allow you to be like that. You try doing that where I'm from, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna get dealt with. You know what I'm saying? So this is a bullying type of a city. It's a bullying type of a province. Everybody thinks they're gangsters out here when this is actually the richest, nicest, most livable place you can ever go to in the entire country. And they're on the opposite side of where real poverty and crime actually comes from. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, Toronto is the biggest, oldest city in the country, the most gangster, where hip hop originated in this country and all that culture, hip hop, gangster culture shit, at least for Canada. Obviously, outside of Canada, that all, you know, originated not even in Canada, you know what I'm saying? But like maybe LA, stuff like that. Los Angeles is like the original gangster place for that type of a culture, you know what I'm saying? Gang culture originated in LA. But for Canada originated in Toronto, and everybody's not gonna like that. They're gonna say, no man, blah blah whatever. They don't go out there. They don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? They stay where it's safe out here. But anyways, I'm gonna end this video before it becomes too long. I'm gonna create a series, and we're gonna go from there. And you know, if they keep playing with me out here and they don't let me in and they don't, you know, let me create real change for me and my people, the homelessness population, and they don't pay me and they don't, you know, rightfully so, put me in position and allow me to create change out here, then I'm going to take it to this route, and it's going to be effective, it's going to work, and it's going to ruin their reputation. They will continue to operate the same way as they always have for hundreds of years. Um, but maybe it'll really put a lot more pressure on them, right? Because COVID put pressure on the government and all these entities, and now they feel scared that they look bad in front of the community, and they got to fix it to keep the compliance of the community, of society, of the city. Like, you know, you don't want to the city and the government doesn't want to lose their influential effect on society, because then they lose control, and then they lose their tax dollars that they've been robbing you and extorting you from and all that stuff, right? People stop contributing to the government. They lose their power, they lose their pull, they lose their money flow. If everyone were to come against the government and actually look at them for what they are and what they're doing, exploiting us and extorting us as people, the hard workers that built this entire city. But they've turned us against each other, and that's the ridiculous part that people can't see. But anyways, Cory Resilient, I'm out.